Okay, so what about squared decimals? So what happens when you get a question like this? So we know already, or we should know, that this squared sign basically means that you get the number and then you multiply it by itself. So that's what the squared means, getting any number and multiplying it by itself. Now, if we get a question like this with the decimal, we just write it out as follows. And then we count the number of decimals in both numbers. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we got 4 decimals here, which means that we're going to make 4 jumps. 4 jumps to the left. Okay, so now with our previous examples, what we did was when we had a decimal, we basically ignored the decimals and we just multiplied the number as a whole. So we'll do that as well. We'll continue to do that. So 2 times 2 equals 4. Okay, so now what we do is we get the number 4, we write it down, and then we start on the right side of the number and we jump left. And we jump according to the number of decimals. Now we counted 4 decimals, so now we jump 4 times to the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And we stop on the last jump, and that's where we put the decimal. So now all we have to do is put down zeros underneath these little bridges here. So we put a 0 there, there, and there. So our final answer will be 0.0004. Okay, so let's try another question with decimals that are squared. So once again, we have a decimal number here that's squared, so we rewrite the question as follows. So we know that when we have a number that's squared, we just basically multiply that number by itself. So we'll do that again. So 1.3 times 1.3. Now we count the number of decimals. So we've got 1, 2 decimals. So now that means that we have 2 jumps left. Again, we ignore the decimal for the time being now, and we go ahead and multiply these numbers as if they were whole numbers. So basically 13 multiplied by 13. So we'll go ahead and do that. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 multiplied by 1 is 3. Now on the second line, we put down a 0 before we do anything. We should know that by now. And we go ahead and we multiply these top numbers by the number 1. So 1 multiplied by 3 is 3. And 1 multiplied by 1 is 1. Now we can add these up. So 9 plus 0 is 9. 3 plus 3 is 6. And 0 plus 1 is 1. So we got 169. So we can write this over here. And we know that we need to jump left twice because we counted the number of decimals in the original question, 1, 2 decimals. So we start on the right side of the right number and we jump twice left. So we're jumping this way, okay? So we'll do that. So 1 jump and 2 jumps. That's our last jump. So that's where we put the decimal. So our final answer should be 1.69. Okay, so let's try one more, and we should get the hang of it by now. So here we have another decimal number that's being squared. So we can rewrite the question as follows: 2.05 multiplied by 2.05. Okay, so now we count the number of decimals. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means we've got 4 jumps left. And now we go ahead and we ignore the decimals and we treat these numbers as whole numbers. So that means that we've got a bit of work to do. So we got 205 multiplied by 205. So let's go ahead and multiply 5 by 5, which is 25. Okay, 5 multiplied by 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. 5 multiplied by 2 is 10. Okay, so now this next line here, we want to multiply the 205 by this 0 here. Now we know already that before we start the second line, we put down a 0. Okay, so now we go ahead, and just to make it easier for us so that we don't get confused, you may want to just rub out this 2 up here that we used for the number 5, just to make it easier for us. Okay, so now we go ahead and multiply 0 by 5, which is 0, and 0 multiplied by 0 is 0, and 0 multiplied by 2 is 0. Okay, so now we need to go and multiply these numbers by the number 2. So now we have a third line. Now, just even thinking logically, if we started the second line with 1 0, then that means we should start the third line by 2 zeros. So we'll do that. Before we do anything, we'll put down a 0 here and another 0 there. Now we're going to start from here and multiply these numbers by 2. So 2 multiplied by 5 is 10. Okay. 2 multiplied by 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. And 2 multiplied by 2 is 4. Okay, and now we can add all these up. So we have 5 plus 0 is 5. 2 plus 0 is 2. 0 plus 0 is 0. 1 plus 0 plus 1 is 2. And 4 plus 0 is 4. Okay, so now we can write this number over here. And we remember our jumps. So we start from the right and we jump left. So we've got 4 jumps to make. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we stop on the last jump, and that's where we put the decimal. So we can rewrite this question as 4.2025. Okay, so have you understood squaring decimals? Well, do these questions, and if you get them right, then you have. So we'll discuss these in class tomorrow.